Yeah, now I'll give a brief intro about the heat transfer base, how we are setting up a heat transfer forward. Okay. Yeah. So coming on to this one, yeah. So we are doing a conjugate heat transfer. So we have two different domains will be there. So in our particular case, I will show that end result. Okay. So you will be getting an idea about the geometry that we are going to create. Yeah, this is the geometry that we are creating. So this is a cavity actually. So in that left end, this corner, we will be having a particular solid geometry. Here also there is a solid geometry. And at the bottom, there is a heater. Okay. So this is an air cavity actually. So here there is a solid phase, and here also there is a solid phase on the left and right end of the bottom portion. And at the bottom level of the T-shaped air cavity, there is a heater, so that we are heating over there. So due to that, the air inside this cavity will be getting heated, and this is the inlet. The left end is the inlet, and the right end is the outlet. So this is an animation, just an animation of how the results look like. Because the air is flowing from the left, and there is a heater at the bottom, so that the air inside this cavity gets heated up, so that due to the buoyant effect, it gets raised, and it will be getting mixed with the air that's coming from through the inlet. So we'll be getting some wavy shape, okay, due to this effect. So this is what we are doing in this particular case. Okay, so that's about the geometry. We have a more or less like a T-shaped cavity is there. It's a 3D case, not a 2D one. So we have a T-shaped cavity, and the left end and the right bottom portions, there is a solid portion, and at the bottom portion of this T, there is a heater also. Okay, so we have totally four regions. Air cavity is there, then there is a left solid portion, there is a right solid portion, and there is a heater at the bottom. Okay, so that's about the geometry. All these geometries we are creating using block mesh. Okay, so we'll be getting familiar with one more dictionary file called Topposet dictionary file. So actually, this Topposet dictionary file is used for creating this geometry sets. So we can make a block mesh or a single block mesh, and that single block is split into different Topposets using this Topposet dictionary file. And while discussing with these things, you will be getting some more familiar with this the block mesh. Okay, because there are a lot of things that need to be considered while giving this grading and all in the block mesh. Okay, or else there will be a lot of errors that will be causing. So in our early case file, that's the case of a pipe. We might have been familiar with the SnappyX mesh dictionary file for creating the meshes, and uh, we might have come across with a lot of controls that's present inside the SnappyX mesh. Now, and I had just described it briefly about the block mesh only, isn't it? I didn't mention anything about the patches and all. So now we'll be coming in detail, more detail with this block mesh, composite dictionary, etc. And we'll be dealing a hands-on session based on this one. So it will take 2 days for completing this one. So anyway, we'll be starting today, and there is we'll lose the continuity because actually we have planned to complete the post processing today. but SR is not available now. And also, I face some difficulty in uploading a case file. It's only 100 MB, but it's taking much time. Okay, that's why. So, due to that, we are forced to shift that session for tomorrow. So, you will be losing some continuity in between. Sorry for that. Okay. So, now we'll be dealing with how to create a geometry without a CAD geometry. Okay. So in the initial case, I mean in the case of pipe, already we have sent you the geometry file that's created using the CAD. But now we are not using CAD software for creating the geometry. We are using the Blockmesh and Topos Dictionary for creating the geometry. So we'll be coming across with that. Now the next thing is we are about to map the faces. Okay. Suppose I am creating two blocks. Okay. Let it be a copper plate and a steel plate. And I am giving a steel plate the temperature as 300 Kelvin and the copper plate temperature as 400 Kelvin. I am specifying like that in our case file in the zero folder where we are giving the boundary conditions. Then again the heat transfer won't occur. Okay, but actually, yeah, it is supposed to occur, isn't it? Because there is a temperature difference, and obviously the heat transfer should take place from high temperature to low temperature. But actually, even if we give the conditions like that, and even if we use the solvers that is corresponding to heat transfer problems, then also we won't be able to analyze the heat transfer or the heat transfer doesn't occur. Okay, that's the only thing that I want to tell if we didn't map the phases. So we need to specify the phases through which the heat transfer is occurring. Okay, suppose we are keeping this steel plate and copper plate parallelly, there will be some point of contact between these two plates. Okay, so that point of contact with this plate, there will be two phases. That we need to map those phases, and that means by mapping the phases, we are telling to the solver that there is a heat transfer occurring between these two phases. Okay, so then only it is identify that some phenomenon, the heat transfer phenomenon is occurring between these two plates, and it will calculate accordingly. Or else the steel plate will be remaining at 400 degree, sorry, 400 Kelvin, and copper plate will be remaining at 300 Kelvin. Even if we run continuously for 5 days or 100 days, there won't be any change in the result. Okay, so that's what we'll be discussing about the map phases. Now, next is about the boundary conditions. So there's some little bit difference in this while we are giving the boundary conditions. That's because the temperature also is being there in addition to the pressure and velocity values that we had used in our previous case. And now we also will come across how to run in parallel. So that I will show that while doing the presentation. But anyways, we won't be doing it hands-on. Okay. So here also, we as a case file, in the case file we have only three folders. That's zero, constant, and system. And in the zero folder, we are using that for giving the initial conditions. Then the constant for saving the geometries. So now we don't want this tri-surface. Okay, we don't want this tri-surface because we are not inputting any geometry files into that. So we'll be only getting the polymesh folder. Okay, we'll be only getting the polymesh folder. Then we'll be having a system, and it should contain Blockmesh dictionary, control dictionary, then FE schemes and FE solutions, as well as now we'll be having this Topos dictionary also. Okay, and decompose part dictionary also will be there for creating the or making it running parallel. Now we are moving on to the folder 0. So that will be containing K will be there, epsilon will be there, then pressure will be there, then P minus rho gauge will be there. Okay, what is P minus rho gauge? Can anyone tell me what is P minus rho gauge? P means pressure, pressure minus rho gauge. What is that?
Static pressure.
Dynamic pressure.
Rho is dynamic pressure. You might have studied in fluid mechanics, isn't it? Rho is.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what was that?
So force,
It is caused due to
flow,
the
static,
fluid.
kind,
Okay, yeah, static
kinematic
fluid.
flow.
It's the pressure that is caused due to the static fluid, isn't it? Now, suppose we are having a tank full of water. What will be the pressure of the water? Or the pressure exerted at the bottom of the tank? Pressure of the water exerted at the bottom of the tank. That will be the density of the water into acceleration due to gravity into that height, isn't it? From the center of gravity, from the center of gravity of the tank to the bottom. That will be the hydrostatic pressure. Okay, so we are reducing that hydrostatic pressure term from the pressure. So that is what called P minus rho g. Okay, so there will be boundary condition like that. Then next one is pressure will be there, then P and T will be there in the solid domain. Okay, now we will be coming across with different domains also. Okay, in early case we will dealing with the fluid flow inside a pipe, so that we don't want different domains. We only want a fluid domain. That will be the fluid domain that's flowing through the pipe. Okay, we are not dealing with the solid domains. But in this particular case, we will be coming across with different domains because we are having an air cavity is there. Then we have a solid domain at the left and right ends. Then we have a heater also. That's another solid domain. So these solid domains will be having only two terms, that is pressure and temperature, while all the liquid domains or the fluid domains will be having K, epsilon, pressure, P minus OG is temperature, velocity, etc. Okay. So that's it about the initial condition folder, that's zero folder. So each domains will be kept in separate folders. Okay, each domains will be kept in separate folders. So we are getting more complicated now. Okay, in the case of this heat transfer, we are getting more complicated now because there are different folders now. Okay, so please be thorough about this simple form that we have done till now regarding this fluid flow problem in the pipe. Okay, so that's a simple case file. Now we are getting more complicated because inside the zero folder, we will be having different folders like air cavity will be there and another folder named solid, left solid, another solid named right solid will be there. Then another folder named heater will be there. So there will be different folders according to the domains that will be present inside the zero directory. And inside all those folders, there will be corresponding boundary conditions, pressure, temperature, velocity, whatever it may be. There will be corresponding files representing that boundary conditions. Okay. So all these things will be present inside a zero folder. So I mean, the things are getting more complicated. So there are a lot of chances that we may go wrong. Okay. So please be careful while doing all these things. So that's one thing that I want to tell. And now we can move on to next one, that is the constant directory. In the constant folder again, we'll be having a region properties. Okay, so initially I had told some names, heat, air cavity, then left solid, right solid, etc. Okay, but OpenFOAM cannot identify whether it is solid or fluid. I am giving it as air cavity. It can be solid or it can be fluid. It's just a name, isn't it? So in the region properties, we want to specify whether it is a fluid or solid. Okay. So in the region properties, we are specifying that under fluid, such and such domains, I mean the air cavity, for an example, is a fluid domain. And under the solid domain, I am telling that this less so. left solid, right solid, and heater. Those are solid domains. Okay, then only it will be able to identify what all type of domains are we using. Okay, so that's what we are doing in the case of region properties. Then again, in the constant folder also, we will be coming across with different folders. Okay, each domains will be having different folders, as what I had told in the case of zero directory also. Okay, so that means inside the consent, we will be having a folder for heater, another folder will be there for air cavity, another one will be there for this particular left solid, then another for right solid, etc. Okay, and in each folder, we will be having boundary for files. That means polymesh folder will be there. Okay, and then another important parameter that we need to look into this case is acceleration due to gravity. Okay, that's why I had shown the result at the beginning itself. See, in the result, we can see that at the bottom we are placing a heater, and due to that, the air cavity or the air that's present inside that particular cavity is getting heated. And while the air is getting heated, what happens? The density of the air gets reduced, and due to the Boyne effect, it starts rising up. Okay, and there will be an effect on the acceleration due to gravity also. So that we need to specify the acceleration due to gravity. What is the direction? Okay, so there will be an XYZ coordinate, and we need to specify the gravity value correspondingly in order to show that the acceleration due to gravity is towards X direction or Y direction or Z direction, whatever the case may be. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing in the gravity file. Okay, in order to show the direction of the gravity force. Now, we will be having another file for providing this radiation properties. So in our case, we are not providing radiation. So if radiative heat transfer is occurring, the radiation process is occurring, we need to give the parameters in that file. Then there is a thermophysical properties. What are the thermophysical properties? That's like specific heat, then the Prandtl number, viscosity, etc. So that will be changing with the temperature. Okay. So we need to specify those properties. Okay, we need to specify those properties. Then another one is the turbulent one. We need to specify whether the flow condition is turbulent or laminar. Then the solid domain also will be having all these things except only two things, that is turbulent and G, because there is nothing with this acceleration due to gravity for a solid geometry, isn't it? The heat transfer or the flow phenomenon that's occurring inside the fluid domain. So there is nothing for providing nothing with this gravitational effect on the solid domains, and also there is nothing with the turbulent thing, isn't it? So we don't want to specify turbulent properties and the acceleration due to gravity in what's called in the solid domains. Okay, so all the rest of the things that will be free. That means we'll be having polymesh folder, we'll be having radiation properties, thermal physical properties, etc. in the solid domain as well as the blue domain. Okay. And in the system, then again in the system, we'll be having subdomain folders. Okay. So altogether in zero, constant, and system, we'll be coming across with this subdomain folders. Okay. And everything that we are doing is with regards to this subdomain folders. Okay, so it's a tedious task that we need to do many things. Okay, so it's not as easy as what we are doing now. So I saw one comment by Nilesh. I am enjoying working on it. When I started the presentation, I had seen his comment. I think Hriday sir was asking about the feedback and all. So I don't think that now, while doing this heat transfer problem, you won't be in a position to enjoy, because there are a lot of things that need to be considered, and there will be a lot of confusions and also.
So
Yeah,
let's see what happens.
yeah, okay, fine. Okay. Now, And now we are moving on to the details about the system folder. So it will be contained in this subdomain folders. So that contains a change directory dictionary. So that's called this dictionary file is for changing the dictionaries that I will be showing how to map the patches. Okay. So when coming to a dictionary file, I will show how we can map the patches. In that dictionary file only, we are specifying the patches. Okay. So we are giving some commands in that, and that will be automatically mapped. Okay, while executing that, that will be automatically mapped. So that's what we are doing in that particular case. Then we have a decompose part dictionary. If you wish to run that in parallel, then FE schemes and FE solutions will also be there. Then when coming outside the subdomain folder, still we are inside the system folder. Okay. So in that particular case, we have a block mesh dictionary, then a control dictionary is there, then again decompose part dictionary, then FE schemes and FE solutions are there. So all those things are similar to what we had discussed. Okay. The new one is topos dictionary. It's just for splitting the block mesh and creating the subdomains or the geometries that we want. Okay. Now we are coming into more detail in the case of subdomain, which is inside the system. We'll be having a dictionary file called change dictionary dict. That's a dictionary file. So some problem with this while spelling that change dictionary. Okay. Anyway, so it could be used to create the boundary conditions in the zero automatically because we are mapping the phases. Okay, we are mapping the phases, and there is a lot of phases. So it's quite difficult for creating the boundary conditions. We need to name the patches one by one, and there will be a lot of mapped patches. So it's quite difficult for us to name all those patches manually while giving the boundary conditions. Okay, in the morning session, while we are creating the boundary conditions, actually there were only three patches, isn't it? And I suppose that everyone might have typed that one. Since there's only three patches, that's okay. But since it's a heat transfer problem and there will be a lot of mapped patches, it will be quite difficult for us to create the boundary conditions because we need to specify all these boundary conditions in each and every subdomain folder that's present inside the zero folder. So it's quite difficult. Okay, so in order to automate that, we are using this change dictionary file. So it will be used to map the patches, and after mapping the patches, it will be giving the boundary conditions. But we need to check that. Okay, we need to check whether it is correct or not. So, anyways, our interference should be there, but still, to an extent, it will be very helpful for us while creating these boundary conditions and all. And now we have a decompose part dictionary that will be used for running the process in parallel. Then about the numerical schemes and the solution, the solver algorithms, everything is present inside these FE schemes and FE solutions. So that's it about the files that is contained inside the subdomain. Okay. Now about different solvers that we are using now. Yesterday we were discussing about the solvers that we are using for fluid flow problems, isn't it? For incompressible fluid flow problems. Now it's about the heat transfer problems. So one of the solvers is buoyant-bosonic Pimble flow. So it's a transient solver that's used for buoyant flow, the turbulent flow for incompressible fluids. Then we have a buoyant-bosonic Pimble form is there. That's a steady solver. So just keep in mind, Pimble will be whether it is an incompressible in the case of transient flow, and Pimble form will be used in the case of a steady flow. Okay. And we have a buoyant Pimble form. So that's a transient solver for turbulent flow, for incompressible flow, for ventilation. That means we can use this buoyant Pimble form for modeling room ventilation and all. Okay. Sometimes in BTech project and all, we'll be doing a project based on this room ventilation or the room air conditioning, just to see the how this air is flowing and how this hot air moves out to the through the ventilation that is provided in the room. Okay. So in that particular case, we will be able to use this buoyant Pimble form. Then another one is this buoyant symbol form. That's again the term symbol is there, so that will be used for steady state flow only. Okay, for that also we can provide this radiation, ventilation, and heat transfer can be provided for that case. Then another one is conjugate multi-region form. So this conjugate multi-region form is used for a transient solver. Again, a buoyant flow condition can also be used, or then turbulent flow, then solid heat conduction and interaction with the solid fluid domains can also be done with conjugate multi-region form. Okay, so that's a transient one. And again, conjugate heat transfer can be done. Okay, so in our case, there is a possibility that we can use conjugate multi-region form since we are dealing with the conjugate heat transfer, isn't it? There's a heat transfer between the solid domain, that's a heater, and a fluid domain. So the conjugate heat transfer is occurring in our case, so that we can use CHT multi-region form if it's a transient case, or we can use conjugate multi-region symbol form if it's a steady case. Okay, so if we are going for a steady state analysis, we can use conjugate multi-region form, symbol form, or if it's for a unsteady state or a transient case, we can use conjugate multi-region form. Okay, so I think in our case we are using conjugate multi-region symbol form. Okay, so we are analyzing it as a steady state problem. Now, now next one is a thermoform. So it's used in the case of a frozen flow field. Okay, so it can be used in a frozen flow field where we can analyze the PCM melting and all using this thing. So these are some of the solvers that we are using in heat transfer. Okay. Now we are coming back to the block mesh. So the initial part we are familiar with that. Those are the vertexes, the coordinates of the vertices that we are giving. Then next comes the vertices order, how we need to order the geometry or create the block in what order. Then about the ratios, the grading system, how is the expansion ratios that's provided. Then the number of cells in each direction. It's having much importance now while we are creating this topos dictionary. Okay, so please be careful about these things because the cell divisions has very much importance because that I will be explaining that while we are doing hands-on. Okay, or else you might forget or it will get confused. Okay. In early case, we were not bothered about that. We can give either 10, 20, 30, 100, whatever maybe, no issues. Okay, but in this particular problem, if you are giving us 30 instead of 40, it may create problem. Okay. Okay, now we can see the different phases or patches. Okay, so conventionally the patches are named as min x, max x, min y, max y, min z, and max z. Okay, so that's how it's named conventionally. We can rename it if you wish, or if you don't want to rename it, it's okay. We don't want to rename that. Okay, that's it. And also we can see the vertices or the points that that's creating each patch. Okay, so the min x means the minimum. What to tell? That's a phase. That's a phase that's having the coordinates minimum in the x direction. Okay, that's the first phase. That's mostly nearby that origin. Okay, x is the phase that is away from the origin in the x direction. That means in the perpendicular to the x-axis. Okay. Now this min x is having the vertices or the points 0, 3, 4, 7. Okay, that should be the order. Then again, it will cause errors if you are making some mistakes over there. Okay, so yesterday I had shown, I think, yeah, it's yesterday. I had shown some figures regarding this block mesh, and there were some conventional directions mentioned of that. Okay, we need to follow that directions while creating these patches also, or else that will be resulting in some errors. Okay. So these are the boundary patches that's being created for the block mesh. Now, moving on to the control dictionary. Yeah, we are using CST multi-region form. Okay, so we are analyzing the transient keys here. CST multi-region form is being used here so that we are specifying the solver. Then again, this thing I had explained in the yesterday while we are discussing about the control dictionary. So that's the latest time from where we want to start the iteration or start solving. Okay. And we are specifying the start time as 0.01, point, sorry, 0.001. Okay. And the time step is also given as 0.001. So the incremental time value will be 0.001. Okay. So initially it is starting with the time 0.001 second. Then next time step will be 0.002 second. Okay. Now we are giving permission for adjusting the write time. Okay. So that means maybe there will be some changes in the time step will be there. So we cannot specify, as in the case of a steady flow condition, that the solution should be returned whenever we come across with 50 number of iterations. That's not possible in this case. Okay. Because with regard to this current number and all, there will be some adjustments that might be made in this delta t time steps. So we cannot specify that exactly at this particular point we need to write the file. It's not possible. Okay, so that we are giving it as adjustable runtime. So that, and the write interval is given as 100. Okay, so when the time step reaches this 100, it will write, or if it is around somewhere around 100 also, the solutions will be written. Okay, not exactly 100. Sometimes it's not possible that we will be getting the value exactly as 100 while looking at transient keys. Okay. And again, write precision. We are giving the number of significants as 8. Then the format that I had already discussed yesterday, the general format will be the time. And I think you might have seen now that in the morning case file that we are run using the simple form, we can see that files that's named as 50, 100, 150, etc. So that's a general format for naming the time directories. Okay. Then we are giving the permission for changing the runtime also. That's what I had discussed now. Due to the change in the current number, there's a chance that the solution may get diverged. So in order to avoid that, we are allowing the control dictionary to change the runtime, the delta t accordingly. Okay. So it will be adjusting that automatically. Yeah, that's again the adjust time step is also given order. So time step is also being adjusted. It also will be adjusted according to the maximum current number. So that's a brief about the control dictionary file. Now we are moving on to the decompose part dictionary. So I also described this thing in briefly in the morning session also. So I will just rush through it. We have 4 methods: Scotch, simple, coefficient, hierarchical. Yeah. Okay. There are 4 methods, that is Scotch, simple coefficient, hierarchical, and manual coefficient. So we can provide different mechanisms for creating this decompose, for decomposing the geometry for running that in parallel. So I had explained all those things in the morning. So I'm just moving on. Now comes an important point. This is a topos dictionary. Okay. It's a topos dictionary. So we'll be using this dictionary file for creating the geometry. Okay. So this is the second time we are coming across with creating the boxes. So initially in the bounding box, you might have seen that we can see two coordinates, isn't it? One minimum coordinate and maximum coordinate. So the same thing we are applying here also. We are using this minimum and maximum point values for creating the boxes. Okay. So initially we have a big box that's created in the block mesh dictionary. And then we are using this topos dictionary for creating small boxes. Okay, so that command is box to cell. Okay, that command can be used for creating the boxes, and we are specifying the dimensions of the boxes. That's the minimum coordinate as well as the maximum coordinate. Okay, so that's what we are doing. And then using that coordinate values, we are creating the boxes. Okay, so let's see how it's occurring. So in the topos dictionary, we can create the geometries, and we need to specify what all geometries that we need to create. And I am giving the first one as a heater. So I am naming that cell set as heater cell set. So the group of cells that's created will be named as a heater, and that will be another domain. Okay, so we can call it as a heater. Then I am selecting all cells that's in the cell set. Okay, I am selecting all the cells in that cell set, and I am creating a new box. I am creating a new box in which I am specifying a bounding box over here. I am specifying a bounding box over here, and the dimension of the bounding box is 500. That's a minimum side, and the maximum side that is 1051. Okay, so within that particular bounding box, I am creating a new cell set called heater cell set, and the domain name is heater. Okay, now I have a group of cells. Now I have a group of cells. From where I am getting the cells? I am getting the cells that I had created in the block mesh. Okay. So once I had created a block mesh and I had divided that into number of cells. Okay. I had divided that into number of cells. Suppose I have 100 cells. Okay. In that 100 cell, I am taking some amount of cells that's enclosing the box having minimum point 500 and the maximum point as 1051. Okay, I am taking all the cells that is coming inside that particular box into a new group called heater. Okay, now suppose, oh, I had lost the screen. One second, please. Yeah, yeah. Now, suppose inside the box there occurs some elements. Partially it's inside the box and partially outside the box. What happens? Okay, I have divided the block mesh into different cells, and now I am telling that there's an imaginary box, and all those cells that comes in it should be grouped as heater. And now suppose there are some cells which is partially inside this box and partially outside the box. What happens? Can I group that into this heater? No, it's possible, isn't it? Because that's lying partially inside and partially outside. So it won't work. Okay, so it won't work. So while creating the block mesh, we should be aware of these things. Okay, we should be aware of these things while creating the block mesh itself. And there should not be
One
a,
doubt.
yeah, yes, that's right.
If a mesh is or if a node is sharing both the region outside and inside, what will be the boundary condition in that case? That will be considered as
In
a
that case,
heater or
yeah, yeah, yes, that's what I am telling. In that particular case, we won't be able to group that into a heater. So that will be showing error.
always that will be happening now, sir, because
Yeah,
there will be always a boundary node which will be sharing the property of both the outside condition and inside condition.
node is okay. No, node is okay. There won't be any cell.
Okay, there won't be any cell.
Yeah, there won't be any cell. Node will be there. Obviously, node will be there. Okay, if there is no node sharing the boundaries, we won't be able to map the phases and the heat transfer won't occur. Okay, so node will be there, but there won't be any cells. So we should keep in mind while creating these divisions in X, Y, Z directions. So we should know what should be the dimensions of the phases that we are giving or the domains that we are giving, and keep that in mind while creating this number of divisions in X, Y, Z directions in the block mesh. Okay, so there we'll be doing some brainstorming process. I won't be giving you the exact values. Okay, I'll give you only the dimensions. So by using the dimensions, we need to create a topos dictionary. Okay. Okay. Anyways, we can try for a new geometry. Okay. We can try for a new geometry that's not represented in this presentation, or else there is a high chance that you may just copy these dimensions. Okay. But it will take time. To be frank, it will take time. It's a brainstorming one. But it's good that we'll be getting more familiar with the OpenFlow. Okay. Personally speaking, even I had taken more than one day in order to identify this mapping thing. Okay, I was just creating this topos dictionary files and block mesh and all, and the heat transfer is not occurring. I had tried many ways. There is no problem with the geometries at all. I had created the geometries, everything is looking fine, but heat transfer is not occurring.
So one
And
more doubt.
yeah, yes,
Is whether the block mesh directory will be always there in all the cases, in all the case files. Is
yeah, it will be
whether
there
block mesh.
already.
But
It will be there.
when I check the Airfoil 2D case file,
Yeah, yes, in that
it is
particular
not
case,
there.
already we are taking the mesh. That's why.
In the mesh means, sir, we are
Actually, in the Airflow 2D case, already a mesh file is being created, and that is being just imported in that particular tutorial only. Okay,
okay.
already in the tutorial, there is a mesh that's already created for Airfoil, and they are just taking that
That
mesh
is
file.
created in which software, sir?
That's already created in this. I mean, in the blog. I mean, in the OpenFOAM tutorial itself. That's there. It's not created somewhere else. Okay. Inside
Okay.
that mesh, you can find that. Inside that mesh, we can see also many geometries that's been there as a default.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why we cannot see a block mesh over there. And in some cases, we can see some arrows also. Shortcuts will be there. In some case files, if you are going to the tutorial, we can see some shortcuts or the path that's shown in a file. Okay, that means they are not specifying they are not specifying the things order. They are just telling that there is a file named like this in that particular folder, and I have given all the properties or all the things that you want. Just go to that folder and see that file. Okay, that's how they are mentioning in some cases.
Which file, sir? Which folder, sir?
I will show that.
Sir, in Mesh, Snappy, Hex Mesh, I think there are shortcut folders.
Yeah, these are the shortcut folders, but inside that we can see already the things. Yeah, suppose. See, in this one we can see FP solutions. No, actually they are showing some shortcuts, or might be the problem with the versions. So these are the shortcuts actually, but the path is not seen here. No. Okay, let me see that. Because I can see some shortcuts over here, but while opening that file, the path is not seen. The entire thing is already there, written there. So let me go through this file, and I'll show some. There will be some files that's having the path that's mentioned. So that's another problem. Okay, that's another problem because we'll be copying those things. We will be copying those shortcut files into our case file. And while we are going to run this case file, it will be producing the errors because actually the value is not inside that file. It's just a shortcut. So that will be another thing. So let me look into it. Okay. Because now I am not seeing that path. I'm just seeing some shortcut files, but while opening to that, everything is written there. Okay, let's see. Mostly I had seen all this thing in the heat transfer problem and all. Folders. Oh shit. I had lost control. Okay. Hey, what is it? Sorry. Then again, the problem with the virtual box, I'm not able to select now. Okay, I will show that. Okay, let me search that and I will show if possible by today itself or else I'll show tomorrow. Okay. So now we can continue the presentation. So now we had created a box. We had created a box and all the cells that's coming inside the box should be grouped into a new domain that's called heater. Okay. So that's a headache. So while creating this, we should keep in mind that we are considering all these dimensions while meshing the block mesh. Okay, so that's the first thing that you want to keep in mind. Now, I am grouping all those into a domain called heater. Okay, that's the name of the cell zone that I am giving. Then I am selecting based on the cell set to a cell zone. I am selecting all those group of sets or group of cells into a new zone called cell zone. So that's what I am doing there, and I am grouping that into a new cell set. And now that will be separate a domain. That will be a separate domain, and that domain will be called heater. Okay. Similarly, I can create the air cavity also. So in the case of air cavity, you had seen a T-shaped door, isn't it? So that will be consisting of two rectangles. Okay, that will be consisting of two rectangles. One will be the top portion and other will be the bottom portion. So I am creating two boxes. Okay, I am creating two boxes. That's what we can see here. So initially, I am creating one box. That's why the action is given as new. That's why the action is given as new. So I am creating a new box. Again, some of the cells that is coming under this box. The box is 501 at the minimum and 1056 at the maximum. Okay, so all the cells that's coming under or coming inside this cell is being grouped as air cavity cell set, and that's a new cell set that's been created now. Now, at the bottom portion, we will be having one more set of box. Okay, that at the bottom portion will be having one more set of box, so that I am creating that box by giving the corresponding dimensions, and all those cells that I am getting as of now in the new box is being added to the previous one that I had already created. That's why I am giving the action here as add. Okay, that's why I am giving the action here as add. That's correspondingly shown in the arrow with the brown color. So by giving that command, we are adding those cell sets into the previously created cell set so that it will be a single geometry. Okay, that will be a single geometry. And now I am adding all those cell sets and that's being grouped into a new zone that is called air cavity. Okay, that's called air cavity. Similarly, there will be some of the blocks that will be remaining. There will be some of the blocks that's remaining on the left side and the right side of that T-shaped cavity. We can name it as left solid and right solid. Okay, or use the command as the remaining thing can be grouped into a single block. Okay, we can do it that similarly also. That I'll be showing that while we are doing the hands-on session. Okay, so there is a huge block over there. I am dividing some portions and naming it as some geometries. And finally, there will be something remaining over there. So I'm just telling that all the remaining things are being grouped into a geometry called X or Y. Okay, that's it. So we don't want to create all the geometries. Okay. So that's what we'll be dealing with this topos dictionary. So these two processes will be a little bit difficult for us. Okay. For creating the block mesh and topos dictionary. That's a most difficult thing that we'll be facing while creating a conjugate multi-region heat transfer form. But in the previous case, they are using the snappy mesh was quite easy for us because there are a lot of things that will be already there. So just we want to give some parameters or we want to change some values only. So it's very easy for us to edit. But now we want to create the geometry, so we want to visualize that one. And then we want to divide that in such a way that there are no intersections of the cells that's occurring. So that's another thing. So it will be a quite difficult process. Okay, anyways, we can do that. Now about the change dictionary. In this change dictionary, there's a provision for giving the boundary conditions. Okay, in the change dictionary, there's a provision for creating the boundary conditions. So just we are giving the boundary conditions over here. And see in the third and the fourth patch. First and second patch is just min x and max x. That doesn't matter. That's just the patches on the left and right side correspondingly. But You can see the third and the fourth one. The third one is just given as dot star. What does that mean? And in the next case, air cavity to dot star. What does that mean? That means there will be some patches that can be given for common boundary conditions. In our case, in the previous case that we are done, we have three patches. Okay, we have three patches. That means inlet, outlet, and wall. Okay, so inlet should be given different boundary condition, and outlet should be given the different boundary condition. And actually that was a three different phases, isn't it? In the Salome, we had grouped three different phases into a single one called wall. So suppose it was of three different phases. Let it be wall 1, wall 2, and wall 3. Okay, let it be wall 1, wall 2, and wall 3. So while giving the boundary conditions, we need to specify all these three patches. We need to specify full wall 1, then full wall 2, and full wall 3. Then only we will be able to give the boundary conditions. So similarly, in this case also, there will be a lot of patches other than this one. Okay, so we need to give boundary conditions to all those patches. And since there are a lot of domains in this particular case, each domain will be having all the 6 phases. Okay, each domain will be having all the 6 phases. And with regard to air cavity, if we are looking into that, it will be having some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 phases will be there. Okay, air cavity will be having 9 phases will be there. So it's not that easy task for us to name all these things while giving the boundary conditions. Okay, so this I am specifying it as dot star. That means all the other patches. Okay, I am specifying only 2 patches over here. That's min x and max x. That's the only patch that I am specifying in this particular case. And then I am giving all the rest patches as dot star. That means all the other patches that I had not mentioned in the boundary condition. Okay, all the other patches that I had not mentioned in this boundary condition is being given as dot star. Okay, now coming on to the fourth one, air cavity to dot star. What is that? Again, air cavity to dot star. That means while looking onto air cavity, it might be having contact with 3 domains. One will be the left solid, the other one will be the right solid, and third one will be the heater. Okay, so there will be some heat transfer occurring between these three patches. Okay, there will be some heat transfer that is occurring between these 3 patches. So we need to provide that there is a connection in between them. Okay, if we are not specifying the connection, we are not mapping the patches, what happens? There won't be any heat transfer occurring. Okay, so in order to map the patches, I am telling that heat transfer to that particular patch. And there are different patches also there. So here I am telling that what all phases the air cavity is sharing with other geometries or other domains. All those patches I am mapping. Okay, I am not naming it specifically. Okay, I am not naming it specifically. Instead, I am telling that air cavity and the patches which the air cavity is being shared with other subdomains should be given this particular boundary condition. Okay, it's very easy as it is. Okay, that's how we are mapping the patches. So if we didn't map these patches, if we didn't give the command air cavity to, that is that's the what we call, that's a connection that we are showing. Okay, between air cavity and a patch called the solid, left solid. Okay, air cavity and a left solid. So these 2 patches having a connection, and I am specifying that using the command to, air cavity to. Okay, that's how we are showing the, or we are mapping the patches. So now we are moving on to the temperature field. Again, we are giving the values, temperature field is given automatically. And see, here we are specifying one patch, air cavity to heater. So there is a connection between that. And the heat transfer is occurring only between these two patches. Okay, the heat transfer is occurring only between these two patches. That means the heat is being transferred from the heater to the air cavity. The heat is being transferred to the air cavity from the heater. Okay, that's the only thing that I am giving here. And the type is given as compressible, turbulent, temperature coupled, baffled, mixed. That's a what we call that's the boundary condition that we want to specify, for this particular conjugate heat transfer case. Okay, conjugate heat transfer case, we want to specify that boundary condition. I will show that PDF file that I was discussing about yesterday. So in that you can find all these boundary conditions. And we are giving the value, temperature is given. And that's an we need to calculate this conductivity value, thermal conductivity. So thermal conductivity I am giving as fluid thermo because air cavity is being used here. So we want to find the thermal conductivity of the air. We want to find the thermal conductivity of air. So that's why it's called as fluid thermo. Okay, if I am using the the solid, and I want to find the thermal conductivity of air. Suppose it was heater. Okay, suppose it was heater, and so that's a solid. And I want to find the thermal conductivity of that particular heater. I want to give the command as solid thermo. Okay, I want to give the command as solid thermo. Now the value is given as uniform 1000. 1000 means 1000 Kelvin. Okay, 1000 Kelvin. That's the temperature value that I am giving at the boundary between the air cavity and the heater. Okay. So that's it. Now we are giving the epsilon value also. That's in the walls. We are giving the command for finding the epsilon from the wall function. That's a model that's already created for finding the epsilon value. So it will be using the epsilon value wall function for calculating the values of epsilon at the walls of the geometries. Then in the case of turbulence, K also, in the case of K also, KQR wall function is being used there. So KQR wall function will be used for finding the K value also. It's a turbulence, okay, not our thermal conductivity. So don't mistake with this one. Don't get confused. Okay. Now this P minus OGH and P. So there also we are specifying the pressure. So in this case, I know already the pressure will be more or less same in the throughout the field. So that we need to mention only the boundaries. I mean the place where the pressure, the fluid is moving outside. So that's why I'm giving us max X. Max X is the place where the flow is moving out. Okay, the outlet, that means the outlet patch. So outlet patch, I am mentioning the pressure, and all the other pressure values I am giving the field flux pressure. Okay, so that's a uniform value, not the fixed value. But in the case of outlet, I am specifying the fixed value. Okay, so that remains the same. But for the second case, while for the other patches, that means dot star case, yeah, we are not giving the fixed value. We are just specifying some value. So initially that value will be taken, and later on, if there is some pressure difference, the new value will be assigned to that particular patches. So in the pressure field P boundary condition also we are giving it as calculated. So that will be calculated according to the what we call according to that density of the fluid that we are using, or according to the gravitational force, the direction of the force accordingly. So all these parameters will be used for calculating the pressure at different points. Okay, so that's why we are not specifying anything over there. We are just giving that calculate all the pressure values for the patches. Okay. So now this is the case of a change dictionary file for solids. So in the fluid, we need to specify this pressure and velocity, but in the case of solid, we only want to specify the temperatures. So I am just giving the temperature thing. See here we can see that heater. This is an example of the heater. So we can see that the heater to air cavity. Okay, from heater where we are now. So this is for a solid dictionary file, and this file is inside the heater domain. So I am telling that from heater to air cavity. So initially we are telling that air cavity to heater. So because there we were discussing about the flow domain. So from air cavity to heater, we are giving a relation. Now from a heater to air cavity, we are giving another relation. Okay. So here we can see that K, the value of thermal conductivity, value for thermal conductivity is calculated using solid thermo model. Okay, because that's a solid one. Initially it was a fluid, that's why we are calculating that using fluid thermo. Now it's being calculated using solid thermo. And again, the temperature that's given is same. There should not be any variation with the values that we are specifying order. So I am giving it as 1000 only. So that's about the boundary conditions that's given for the heater. So that's it. And these are the commands that we are using in the run file. So morning, someone asked me what this all run script file is. So in this one, we can see all the commands that we be going to execute. Okay. So in order to avoid all this executing these commands step by step, if we are confident that there is no error occurring in our case file, everything is perfect. What we can do is that just may change the directory to our case file and type the command /all run. That's it. It will start running from the beginning. Okay, it will be creating block mesh. It will be creating our domains. Then it will be starting solving, and finally we will be getting the result. And we can view all those result file using ParaID. Okay, that's it. We can just sit idle. Okay, but I won't recommend doing that. But in this particular case, we want to use the script file because giving the command is quite difficult for us in this particular case. So we will be using the script file. Okay. So I'll just explain what all commands that we are doing. Okay. In this one, we can see so here we can see that run application block mesh. Okay. So first of all, while executing this command, the first command that will be running is block mesh. So it will be creating the block mesh. Then secondly, it will be creating the topos dictionary. Secondly, it will be creating the topos dictionary. So what happens? It will create all the subdomains. Okay, it will create all the subdomains. Then we need to split all the cells into different regions. Okay, we need to split all the cells into different regions. So that's a third command that will be giving split mesh regions into different cell zones and override the previous values. Okay, what will be the previous one? That's a block mesh. Okay, previous one will be the block mesh that's created. So now what happened is that already we have a mesh that's created using block mesh. And now I had grouped this different mesh into different domains using this topos dictionary. Now I am splitting all those domains. I am splitting all those domains into different subdomains. Okay, and then I am overwriting the previously created file. So that's occurring in this split mesh regions minus cells minus overwrite. Now we are going for the post processing. That means we are removing the fluid fields from the solid regions. Okay, we are just removing the fluid domains from the solid domain. Because in the solid domain, we don't want this epsilon k, velocity, pressure, or P minus rho J, etc. So just I am removing those values from there. So this pressure, velocity, etc. will be only present in the fluid domain. Okay, from the solid domain and all those things that will be removed. So that's a command called RM. RM will be given, and in the zero folder, this epsilon k, u, P minus rho J, etc. will be removed from the solid domain. So in order to identify the solid domain, what do we want to give? In order to identify the solid domain, we want to specify in the region properties. Okay, we want to specify in the region properties whether it is a solid or whether it is a fluid. Then only we will be able to remove these things. Okay. Now we have 4 domains. Okay, now we have 4 domains. So the highlighter is gone. Now we have the 4 domains. That is, one is air cavity, then heater, then left solid and right solid. Okay, so now we are running another command called change dictionary, because I had already discussed about this change dictionary file. What happens while executing those commands? What happens? It will automatically create the patches, mapping the patches, isn't it? It will be automatically mapping the patches where the heat transfer is occurring, as well as it also creates the boundaries, or the boundary conditions will be created in the zero folder. Okay, it will be created in the zero folder. So that's a command that we are using for this change dictionary. Okay, so region wise, what is the region? Or this will be having different regions, isn't it? Between this solid and a fluid domain will be a region, or a heater and air cavity will be another region. So for all these regions, what happens? This change dictionary will be executing the commands, and it will be producing the boundary conditions as per the values that we had specified in that particular dictionary file. Okay. So using this dot star and all, we'll be able to save the time for creating this patch files. Okay, or else it will be tedious task, because there will be a lot of boundaries will be there, and we need to specify all those boundaries in that zero folder corresponding to all the subdomains and all. Okay, so this command will be enough for that particular case. Then for running, so this script file now it's used for running the single process only. That means run application, get application. Okay, from where will get this get the application? Run application, get application. So it will check the control dictionary. Okay, now everything is done. The block mesh is done. Then we had created the geometries. Then we had split the regions. Then the pressure velocity values which were unwanted in the solid domain is being removed. Then we have changed the dictionary file is being used to create the boundary conditions. So everything is set now. And now we want to execute the command for running the solver. Okay. So just we are giving us run application, get application. So what happens is that it will go to the control dictionary. In the control dictionary, we have specified everything, isn't it? What is the solver that we need to use? That's specified there. At what time we need to start solving? What is the time step? Whether we need to adjust the time step according to current number or not. At what time interval we need to write the solutions. So everything is specified in the control dictionary. So what happens is that it will check with the control dictionary and act accordingly. Okay. So that's a command called run application, get application. Now suppose if you want to run that in parallel, what we do is that we will put a hash mark over here, so that will be changed as a comment, and we will be removing the hash mark from here, and from here. Okay, so that will be as a command. Now, first of all, we will be decomposing that. So run application, decompose par. So all regions will be decomposed according to the number of processes or number of domains that we have specified. Okay. Now, again, run parallel, get application. So parallelly, using the information that is provided in the control dictionary, the solutions will be run, or we'll be trying to solve that. And after solution getting converged, or at the end of the time set that's specified, what we do is that we'll be executing the command reconstruct. Okay, all the regions that were decomposed, will be reconstructed back. Okay, will be reconstructed back, and that will be now a single geometry. It will be having different domains anyhow, but that will be togetherly called as a single geometry now. And all the results files that were calculated separately in different processes also will be merged into single one. And then finally we can visualize that in paraview. Okay, so a file name here is given as touch paraview.form. So paraview doesn't mean the command that we are executing, it's just the file name. Okay, don't get confused. Okay, don't get confused. Here the file name is given as paraview. That's fine. Okay, touch paraview.form. So that means at the end of all this process, we'll be getting a result file named paraview.form. So we can execute the command paraview in order to open this file. Okay, so this file can be touch space x.form also. Okay, x is the file name. That's all. So there's nothing with the file name. Okay. So that's it. And this is the result that we will be getting. Okay. So this is a brief introduction about the heat transfer case that we will be dealing from tomorrow afternoon session. Okay, I had just gone through it in a single stretch. I I hope that some of you might have slept now because it would be a quite boring one. Okay, anyways, it will be a little bit more tough task. Okay, a little bit more tough task for you people. Yeah. Now, any questions for us?
So we'll ask it tomorrow
Okay.
after viewing it once again.
Yeah, I was just rushing. I know because or else it won't. Actually, I had come at only 1:30, so we have
So
only
we
one
will
and a half
be
hours.
giving in the problem definition tomorrow, not sir. Once again.
Yeah, I'll be giving. Yeah, I'll be giving the
So
problem
these all
definition
those
tomorrow.
things from where to
Yeah,
where the heat is transferred, all these things will be.
yeah, all the things that I'll be giving tomorrow. I just give an introduction only now. So because I just don't want to change this presentation. It's quite uncomfortable for changing this presenter. If it's a hands-on session that's being done in a lab, obviously we can give a presentation as well as we can come to all the systems and see what all things that you're doing. Okay, but since it's in an online platform, in one slide I want to show the presentation, then I want to change that, then come to VirtualBox, then I want to show the case file or what I am doing. So it will look messy. That's why I am giving a presentation now. So you will be getting an overall idea. Okay. Now, while doing the hands-on, we'll be looking more in more detailed manner. So at that time, I will be giving the dimensions of the geometry and all. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Anything more to ask? Yeah, these PPTs will be provided. Yes, sure.
Hello. So, in the 64th slide, the old run,
Yeah.
like after the command run application, all other commands are hashed, so it won't be executing, right?
No, it won't be executing. Yes.
So, like in that old run, sir, can you just show me the
Yeah,
slide?
yeah, yeah.
Sir, in that case, we should be we should be editing the script, right? What
Yeah,
all
we'll be.
commands should be.
Yeah, we will be editing the script only.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Because in this case we have some for loop and all. So it's not that easy for running that in the terminal. So that's why we are using the script in this particular case. Okay, we have two for loops. One is for
So,
removing that. Yeah, just tell me.
okay, so we will be running more than one command, right? Like after run application, we'll be running others with like
Yeah, yes.
for
Yeah, or else we can do it one by one. That means we will be changing all these commands into comment just by typing hash.
Okay.
Okay. So then we'll be executing, or we can execute block mesh, top offset, etc. by terminal itself. But later on, we need to execute using the script file only. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. So, anyways, sorry for the delay that's caused. Okay, once again, sorry for that. Because you people were waiting from 1 o'clock itself, and we could start only at 1:30.
So,
Yeah.
so one thing I need to ask, as I
Please.
have started from the beginning again,
Yeah.
I have created the
Hmm.
points, merged them into one,
Hmm.
and placed it into that try surface folder in the
Okay.
constant. Now what I
Yeah.
have to do, I was running the block mesh there, so it wasn't showing there.
You need to, you had specified the points in the block mesh of the coordinates.
No, like after from the Salome, I have imported the points, merged them into
Okay.
one, and
Yeah.
saved the
Put in
file
the try surface.
in the
In try
try
surface.
surface
Yeah.
folder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
Now
after
you
that,
want to create the block. Now you want to create the block.
block mesh.
Yeah. So just go to
Or
that block mesh dictionary file and
yes.
give the coordinates, that vertexes.
Then what was that for? Surface check full.stl.
Yes. That's what that command should be executed inside the try surface folder.
Okay. So
Okay.
I
Change
need
the
to run the path for the try surface folder. Then I
yes,
have to
yes,
run
yes,
this.
yes. Yes. Then
Okay.
execute the command surface check space file name of
Full.stl.
the geometry full dot stl. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. Then I have to make the block mesh.
yes.
And after creating the block mesh, I will save the file touch result.form.
Yes. Then you can view that block and just check whether the pipe is inside the block or not.
Yes.
Then you want to edit that surface feature extract.
Hmm.
Then finally the snappy X mesh.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Then do the boundary conditions and solve.
That I
So
remember.
is there
Thank you,
a
sir.
file called extended feature mesh, sir? Because
Yeah, there's a file code. That's what we are creating using this surface feature extract dictionary.
okay.
Okay. So all the edge features will be saved in the geometry file, in this edge mesh file. So that will be used while running the snappy X mesh.
So after block mesh, actually, what is the what we should run?
Surface feature extract.
Okay, okay,
So surface F should be capital and extract E should be capital.
okay, 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 okay.
Yeah. So any more doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. So if you don't have any doubts, we can wind up now. And tomorrow you will be getting one. I mean, today itself, sometimes you will be getting a mail. That's case file. So just I want to recheck also. So after rechecking that, I will just mail you to you people. So just download that, and tomorrow you can use that particular file for pre-processing. Sorry, post-processing. Okay, so that you can see the results and all. So it's more or less converged one, and it's a heat transfer thing. So just you can use that file for getting more colorful graphs and all. Okay. Okay, then we can stop. So if you don't have any doubts, we will wind up now. Okay. Thank you.